Hey guys, Scott here with a new beer dissection video, maybe like a pseudo refresher, what is style also. What I have today is from the oldest brewery in the world. It's called Weinstephaner Weissbier. Okay, in the United States we use the term Hefeweizen a lot. Remember, Hefe means yeast, Weizen means yeast. They just call it Weissbier over in Germany. I had the pleasure when I did Challenge Roth Ironman distance triathlon out there, drank a lot of Weissbier. And it's wheat beer. And I did if you go under the playlists and go under what is style, I did a very long, I'll say very long, maybe about 3 or 4 minutes longer than usual, video about the history of Weissbier and went into a lot more detail. I did not have this one though. This is probably one of the best ones in the world. I had a more inferior quality beer in that video, but I did go into a lot of history. So if you are a beer geek and you do like that history, definitely take a look at that video. Weinstephaner Brewery is the oldest brewery. Like I said, I led with is, I think it was 1040. They opened, so they've been around for a while. And you know, we've heard the Reinheitsgebot, which is the beer purity laws in Germany. At the time, it was just barley water. They didn't know about yeast at the time. And there was a lot of things I went into history about how they were able to use Schneider Weiss or Schneider family that got the rights to be able to brew wheat beer and things like that. So I'm not going to go into all that detail, but just to kind of give you a little taste, a little refresher. This style of beer, Weissbier, is usually between 4.3 and 5.6% alcohol. What you're usually looking for is kind of a doughy, white bread, kind of malt profile, highly effervescent. You usually can expect a lot of head on this beer. So if you do get it served out at a microbrewery, expect usually more like 3-4 inches of head. Now the other characteristics, because of the yeast that they use, I should say that they usually use at minimum 50% wheat. The rest is usually like Pilsner malt. But this beer in particular, I think they use upwards of 60-70% wheat. And in Germany, it is part of the standard that they must use that. So with this beer in particular, again, 1040, it was around I lost my train of thought there, but this Weissbier or wheat beer in Germany is actually the second most consumed beer in Bavaria, second only to Munich Helles. So that's pretty much it as far as just a quick refresher on the style of beer as well as this one in particular. So again, like I said, 1040, it isn't pronounced Weinstephaner, it's Weinstephaner, okay? And again, Weissbier. Now, as I was talking about some of the characteristics, that's what I was about to say, is that you'll get because of the yeast character, you're gonna get a lot of phenolics like clove, banana esters, okay, because of the yeast strain that's being used. That was really separates it from American wheat beer, which you will not get that. And it produces a compound called 4-vinyl guaiacol, which gives you that clove aroma and taste, as well as isoamyl acetate, which gives you the banana. Think of like overripe bananas. I'm sorry, that was the train of thought I was on that track before. So those are real big characteristics. So that kind of that doughy, floury, bready, the banana clove character. Sometimes you may smell like bubble gum too on these styles of beer. Some people pick up bubble gum, even vanilla. So depending on which one you have. Now I have one of the most popular ones in the world, Weinstephaner Weissbier, but there are other ones that are made. And this one, you want to drink these as fresh as possible. This is like the original hazy, meaning that you will see a lot of yeast sediment at the bottom. And it's really your choice if you want the yeast to be poured off in the glass. Classically, it is. It's not going to harm you or anything like that. But just so you understand that when you see the cloudiness, it's from the proteins from the wheat as well as some of the yeast hasn't flocculated to the bottom and you may get it, or when it's poured off the bottom. So you may see Crystal Weizen, which is filtered wheat beer. So that's a lot of things. Now this style is typically served in a Weissbier glass. This is a Weissbier glass. Now again, I got this at a place called Big Ass Dick's Last Resort down in Myrtle Beach years ago. My nice Frankensteiner glass, I pronounced that properly, which I got literally from Germany when I was there, broke about a year or two ago. But it looked exactly like this. You can see how this one is kind of narrow at the bottom and kind of tapers out a little bit and feeds way in. And that's to allow to support a lot of that head. Okay, you don't want, in most classically beers, you want 1 to 2 inches of head. This style, you typically want to have it a little more aggressive. And, you know, when you drink this with the wheat, it should taste kind of like pillowy. You know, obviously there's going to be wheat flavors and components to it because of the high percentage of wheat. But other than that, guys, maybe a little more that I was going to go into details, but this is really a classic style of beer, and I really enjoy it, okay? So because I pour aggressively, this is going to be perfect for this video today. So let's pour this bad boy out. Weinstephaner Weissbier or Hefeweizen. Remember, Weiss meaning, Weiss means white, so white beer, okay? Hefeweizen, Weizen means wheat, Hefe means yeast. But you see Weissbier, it means white beer, okay? And you typically use wheat. Similar to in Belgium, when they see wit beer, wit is white in Flemish, I believe, and also I think that's a dialect of Dutch. And so that's also white beer. And it's a wheat beer-based beer also with some Pilsner malt and things like that. So anyway, guys, a quick refresher, my what is style of Hefeweizen and a little history as well as what to expect from this beer. But without further ado, let's just pour this bad boy out. Okay. All right, so yeah, I'm getting the classic. Now, when you pour it, if you don't want the yeast, you pour it and you look at the edge of the bottle and you'll see the yeast coming to the mouth. Now, I like the yeast. Sometimes what we'll do is you'll pour it and you can tell the bartender if you get it in bottle form. If it is an authentic German one, they may ask you if you want the yeast. Now, I left a little bit behind. Now, you're not going to probably be able to see it, the sediment. Maybe you could, all right? Typically, what's going to happen, let me show you this. I'm going to finish off the pour in a second. But look at that nice, heavy, dense foam there. Now, I got a little more than I wanted to, but, you know, this is almost how you want to look at it. Now, again, it should be more like 3 to 5 inches. I've got like 6, 7 inches, okay? But you see that nice, billowy white foam, maybe a light tan tinge to it, but that's exactly what you want. You want to see a lot more foam in this beer. Okay, and it is very carbonated, very effervescent. It's a great patio summertime crusher. Let's look at the color. Kind of like a darker straw, light gold color. You see it is hazy. That's from the proteins of the wheat, as well as, remember, the Hefeweizen yeast, the yeast strain that they use. Okay, now what they typically do is when you have the yeast at the bottom, they'll swirl it a little bit, okay, and then just pour that bad boy right on top if you want that yeast, okay? Usually a good server at a bar will ask you if you want the yeast. It's your personal preference, okay? A lot of people will get it, okay, but don't be scared off by it. So let's take a sniff of the aroma, right? Weinstephaner Hefeweizen beer, Weissbier. Oh yeah, immediately you get that phenolics from the clove, that like overripe banana, isoamyl acetate. You know, I get a little bit, maybe a slight bubble gum, like I said, that you get on the aroma, but classic. And I really miss this style of beer because I really enjoy it. You know, you get that little white bread, flour on the malt. You can see that pillowy nature of the head. So again, Weinstephaner, this is the prototypical, like numero uno. I wish I could speak German and tell you what to expect there. Sorry, I had something coming around. But anyway, guys, so cheers. Look how great this looks. Nice gold color. And this should be served a little colder than usual, okay? But it's, again, personal preference too. Oh, yeah. You immediately get, again, that banana, the phenolic clove character. If you're not familiar with the clove, go into your cupboard and smell things, and that's what you're going to be getting, again, from the yeast. American wheat beer does not have the clove and banana, or it shouldn't have it, okay? Because they're using a more of a neutral yeast strain. But they use wheat. Again, American versions are usually like only 40, 50%. This is delicious. High carbonation, that doughy white bread, malt, pillowy, fluffy, very estery, phenolic, classic. No off flavors. I'm actually quite surprised. Sometimes you're lucky in these international beers coming across overseas that they're only like 4 months old. This one's got a little bit of a quirky label on there to tell you how fresh it is, but I can tell I don't really pick up any malt shift on this. The color is pretty much spot on, so you don't see it darkening. This beer you do want to drink as fresh as possible. So even if you buy a domestic version, don't let it sit around. This is not a beer to age. Fantastic though, guys. Clove, banana, wheat, pillowy, high carbonation. Bitterness is usually on the lower end to moderate. I forget the number. I want to say style, it's roughly 25 IBUs. I'm a little rusty on my BJCP numbers on this style, but it may actually be like 18 to 35. Maybe it's like 18 to 35 IBUs, International Bitterness Units. I know it's 4.3 to 5.6% alcohol, so this is not going to knock you off your keister. That's why they probably drink this in high consumption in Germany. Excellent, guys. You can't get a better Weissbier than this. No astringency, no warmth, which is great. You know, I did a video. This is a great breakfast beer. I would not put lemons and orange peels. Again, it's all personal preference. Classically, you know, we're not throwing orange slices in beer. You're not going to see that. I never saw it in Germany in the 2 weeks that I was there. And like I said, it's the second most popular beer in Bavaria, style of beer, you know, counterpart with Munich Helles. All right, guys, grade-wise, I really can't give any lower than A+. For the style, it's A+. This is, in the Beer Judge Certification Program, the epitome of German Weissbier is Weinstephaner, which I'm sure I have it over my shoulder most of this video, Hefeweizen. So if you see Weissbier with a W, okay, or Hefeweizen, it's really the same beer. You don't, with the German ones, they don't usually use Hefeweizen much. The American versions usually will use that term if it's a true clone of a German style and they're using that yeast. But if you just get American wheat beer, you're not going to get that clove, the banana that's classic for this style. And it's your personal preference. Maybe you don't like the clove and banana. Sometimes this style needs to grow on you a little bit. But if you see Weissbier, Hefeweizen, Weinstephaner, Hofbrauhaus makes one that's very good. Frankensaner, I think is the other one. You know, try it out. So A+ across the board, guys. So hopefully you found that interesting, and seek out my What Is Style Under playlist if you want a little bit more history. I think I dove a little bit more into the evolution of wheat beers in Germany at the time. So anyway, guys, till next beer dissection video, or any video in general, have a great day. Take care.